There can be several ways to summarize this week, and this week, I want to try to summarize it in a different way. If you're following this channel, and by the way, hello, my name is Micha Stocks. If you're following this channel, you know that usually we start by looking at the averages, we then go to the indices, we dive into commodities, we look at the crypto market, and then we dive in directly to the Magnificent Seven. But this time, because the week ended the way it did, with the Russell down 1.4%, S&P down 2.2%, RSP down 2.2%, Nasdaq down 2.4%, and Dow Jones down 3%, I decided to take a different route. I want us together to dive into everything that happened from a macro perspective during the week. And then you'll get a better understanding of why the week was so volatile and was driven mainly by tweets, headlines, and not by financial news. Let's start. During the weekend, last week, President Trump met Maria Bartolo from Fox Business and said that, you know what, the economy needs a detox. It's okay, and you know what, I'm not taking recession off the table. When he said that, Monday morning, we saw the markets crashing down, a very, very big crash on Monday. Then we go to Tuesday, during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we saw a lot of discussions with Canada, with a governor, with a premier, with Ontario's premier, Doug Ford, talking about them making tariffs for electricity that goes to the US, meaning that 3 states are going to pay a lot more for that. President Trump tweets, or I don't know what you say when you do it on Truth Social, says that based on Ontario, Canada, we are going to place another 25% on electricity, and we're going to tariff Canada on aluminum and other things, creating another chaos, which brought on Tuesday a continuation to the downside. That's on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, we saw a bit of hope. We got CPI. CPI came better than expected. Better than expected with a 0.2% gain months over months when the expectation was 0.3. Everyone was ecstatic, saying, okay, this is a good print. Let's see the market rallying. Well, the market didn't really rally. We were kind of range bound. We ended on the green side, but not dramatic as everyone expected. Expected a 2 to 2.5% gain. We didn't get that. Then comes Wednesday. Chuck Schumer, minority Dems, says that he will block the government bill, which means that the government will stop having their budget by end of the week. Of course, this creates uncertainty and turmoil. We got the AAII, which said that 59% of the American Association individual investors are bearish. And because the EU started talking tariffs, came Trump and said, EU, or dear EU, you are taxing US whiskey. And if that's the case, I'm going to put 200% tariff on champagne, on French champagne. It didn't matter that we got PPI on Thursday. It didn't matter at all because the market on Thursday melted down again. As you can see, this is how we were during the week. But then maybe the Trump put came into place. Scott Bassett on CNBC said that a detox doesn't have to be recession, trying to calm things down. Scott Bassett has 30 years of experience in the stock market. He was a hedge fund guy. He knows exactly how and what are the markets doing. And I assume that his phone was booming from all the phone calls of his peers. Secretary Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, came out and said that he wanted to clarify everything to make things a lot more stable and not uncertain. And Chuck Schumer did a U-turn and said that he is going to support the bill. All this together with a Trump put saying our economy will boom like never before, brought the markets up on Friday with a very, very big gain. Was it short covering? Was it rebalancing? Was it all these things? I have no idea. And to tell you the truth, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we are currently at a Trump market. Everything that Trump tweets on Truth Social. And again, if you have a better way of what people are doing on Truth Social, you're more than welcome to write it down in the comments below. Currently, that is the way the market is behaving. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't really matter. And yes, this is a true paradigm shift, even for the channel Stock Talk with Micha Stocks, where up until now we used to talk about stocks and companies, but right now we keep talking about Trump and Trump and Trump and Trump. So yeah, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you will know everything that's going on in the market. Now, let's look at the indices themselves. XLE Energy up 2.6 for the week. Utilities up 2% for the week. Look down. Consumer discretionary down 4%. Communication down. Healthcare down. A lot of carnage in the market. But the crypto market actually was a lot calmer this week. As you can see, crypto market rallying through mid-Thursday, main Friday. Currently, when I ran the report, up 6% for Bitcoin and 3% for Ethereum. Commodities, everyone is talking about gold at $3,000. Gold got to $3,000 the first time ever, which is about 50% gain in the last few months. And yes, the fear from tariffs in the US drove a lot of demand for gold and for European markets as well, and also Chinese markets. All the international markets, and not US, of course. When you look at the Magnificent Seven, this was not a magnificent week. Apple down 10%. Can you believe that a company like Apple can go down 10%? The biggest company in the market down 10%. Think how much money was taken out to get to 10% down, and that due to something you'll see in a second. Tesla down 4%, Google down 4%. But on the flip side, Nvidia is recovering, mainly because their GTC is going to happen this week. And you want to know how oversold we were? Look at this table that shows how we were versus the 50-day moving average and standard deviation. We got to a point where we were so oversold that it usually creates that buying opportunity for people that are investing by the technicals and not only by fundamentals. By the way, also by fundamentals, a lot of the companies are now very cheap. When you look at the major averages, you can see that all of them are oversold. They're not extreme oversold because of Friday, but they are oversold. Yesterday, all of them were extreme oversold. Now, let's talk about the companies themselves. Up until now, we're just talking about the markets and we're talking about Trump. Let's talk about companies. We will start with the biggest company in the world, which is Apple. Apple is delaying their upgrade for Siri. Currently, Siri is not really at par with any new agent that exists there. And Apple's Siri chief calls AI delays ugly and embarrassing. I agree with them. I agree with him. It's ugly and embarrassing. And of course, it impacts their ability to go into an upgrade cycle. Palantir with their customer success event this week. A lot of new partnerships. I'm going to mention just two of them, Qualcomm and Archer. Everyone has their own unique flavor from Palantir, and it's very exciting to see how this company is growing versus the stock that went down around 50%. Tesla reportedly plans to roll out a more affordable Model Y. How does that coincide with their plans for a more affordable car in the next 3 months? We don't know. What we do know is Alibaba is launching their new version of AI assistant tool when the competition is heating up. Tesla also is teaming up with Baidu to improve or to accelerate the improvement of their FSD in China to better understand the roads there. And Intel finally appoints Lip-Bu Tan to their new CEO. If the face is familiar, that is correct. He was the CEO of Cadence Design Systems. He knows exactly what's going on in the chip market. And he had a big clash with Pat Gelsinger, Intel's former CEO, about 6 months ago, which made him leave the board. Maybe now the company will take a new course and hopefully he will be the one that will bring Intel back to their greatness. Chinese authorities summoned Walmart, saying you can't keep on asking our suppliers to reduce their cost because of, or their price, because of Trump's tariffs. You need to stop doing that. Trump's FTC moves ahead with a broad Microsoft antitrust probe. Starbucks, Brian Niccol wants to return to people sitting down in Starbucks and not feeling like a train station. Mark Zuckerberg from Meta was at the White House meeting the Trump staff. Google introduced Gemini Robotics, the ability of Gemini to train robotics at work. Amazon, Google, and Meta supported tripling nuclear power by 2050. TSMC pitches a joint venture to run Intel foundries. And of course, they talked to Nvidia, AMD, and Broadcom and Qualcomm on the matter. Coinbase is looking to register their platform in India. They were already in India and they went back. Now they want to come in again. Lyft is working on a simplified version for its app for the elderly. United Airlines are seeing weakness in travel demands. Delta is seeing weakness in travel demands and cutting their forecast. Southwest, ticker LUV, will charge for check bags. So travel is starting to feel a bit iffy with the new tariffs and the new sentiment in the market. But MicroStrategy keeps buying Bitcoin, now raising $21 billion additional to everything they raised so far in order to buy Bitcoin. And last but not least, Meta begins testing its first in-house AI training chip. Wow. A lot of news this week. So let's dive in directly to next week. Next week is going to be basically split into several things that are going to impact it. One, Trump. Every Truth Social tweet moves the market. We are now at a Trump market. That's where we are. We are 2.5 weeks before April 2nd, when all the tariffs will go into play. Till then, a lot of negotiations, maybe on a universal tariffs or something like that. So that's going to move the market. That's one. Two, Nvidia GTC. Nvidia came down 20% versus last GTC a year ago where they were at all-time high. Now they're not at all-time high. They're down around 15% from their all-time high. Very interesting to hear what's going to happen there. Three, we're going to hear from several companies, not the big ones, of course, but we're going to hear from several companies. The bigger ones are going to happen on Thursday, where we're going to hear from Micron, Nike, and FedEx. All the rest are smaller, a lot smaller companies. And Wednesday, March 19th, we are going to hear from the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, which is going to tell us what is his interest rate decision, or the team's decision. 99% assumption is that the rate is not going to change. So if it changes, the market is going to go crazy, and not for the good. But everyone is going to look at the remarks, what Jerome Powell is going to say. Because if he's data dependent, he should lower rates. Because he has a dual mandate. Inflation is cooling. And of course, labor is okay. So he needs to lower rates. But because he's afraid of tariffs and their impacts, he probably will say that he wants to wait another month or two, which means that he's not data dependent, at least not the current data, but maybe the future data. So it's going to be very interesting to hear from him. And now let's dive into the S&P 500, which is represented by Japanese candlesticks, as you see every week. We have crashed and broke down through the 200-day moving average. We found support at 55.04. And now the question is, are we going to break that resistance at 57.40, which is the 200-day moving average, or we're going to drop down underneath 5,500? If we drop down 5,500, expect us to go down to at least 5,400, if not lower than that. If we surpass 5,700, we might see a rejection around 5,770. What we do know is the market came into this week, or actually at the end of this week on Thursday, down 10.5%. This might seem strange to you, but I can tell you that the statistic shows that every every year there's at least once a 10% correction. So what we saw right now is a line to statistics. Have we gotten to a bottom or not? No one really knows. What we do know is that I will be here next week to update you if we got to a bottom or not. So if we won't meet again 5,500 and only go up, that might have been the bottom. But if we do, it wasn't. Till next time, smash that like button. I will be here, same time, same place. See you later. Bye-bye.